Sevastopol has become incredibly crucial for Russia, and it's Ukraine's. And so the situation with Ukraine not being a NATO nation, if Russia was to invade and take over Ukraine, what should the response of the United States be? And things can be, we need to be real in that things can be both uncomfortably true and horribly tragic at the same time. So if the United States gets involved, you'll have some European nations that get involved. But what about Germany? What about Germany? Now here's where this is where Nord Stream 2 comes in. Russia wanted to hurry up and get that pipeline completed so they could, and that's energy that goes to Germany. Germany got rid of all their nuclear powered plants. Russia wants to be able to supply energy, because if you supply energy, that gives you a degree of control. The pipeline, the existing one, ran partially through Ukraine, gave them a status as a transit state, and that was a huge protection for them. That's why Russia, honestly, I think, hasn't acted up to this point any further than they have. But now with the almost near completion of Nord Stream 2, and it was 98% complete, Trump stopped it, Biden reinstated it, and then they'll bypass Ukraine, removing from them that protection as a transit state, and they're going to control energy. They're going towards Germany, or a good portion of it. So, and there's already problems right now with Russian energy and the reliability of it. Do you honestly think that Germany in the dead of winter is going to say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a stand against the people providing us energy? It helps destabilize the NATO alliance. Now, Ukraine is not a NATO nation. So what obligation? There isn't one, and I hate saying this. I hate saying that Biden's correct. This has nothing to do with whether he's just acknowledging what already exists in spite of him. It doesn't. His existing and his saying it is irrelevant to the fact that technically, when you look, there is no obligation for NATO to protect something that is not a NATO member. Ukraine's tried to be a NATO member. This is something that Putin's meeting with Biden, his virtual meeting with Biden, has always been about making sure that Russia needs to make sure that Ukraine does not join at all NATO. Now, what is going to be the response of the United States if if Russia decides to invade? And I always feel like the people who are most eager to sign up the United States for war are not the people who have to say goodbye. They're not the people who are going to be putting on the uniform themselves. And I found throughout the years that they are also not the people who have to hug their loved ones goodbye and watch them walk off and wonder if they're going to return. And I've also discovered that they are not the people that sometimes have to meet those loved ones when they come back, but not in the manner that they think, but in a box draped with the American flag. So I don't like listening to those people. I don't like listening to War Inc. Because there is a military-industrial complex, and that's something that Dwight Eisenhower himself talked about when he was looking at all of these, contracted agencies and all of these other people who could bear influence over our decisions as it relates to foreign policy. It's a very real thing, and Eisenhower discussed it. But here's the problem. If you have a very, very hardcore, super aggressive response from the United States, guess what you accomplish? You will strengthen Russia's association with that other geopolitical foe that I just mentioned a little bit earlier, China. This is not something that's being acted upon in a vacuum. Everything affects everything here. Every decision must be carefully weighed out. If you rush in balls to the wall into this situation, guess what? You are potentially creating an even worse one. I'll be very straightforward about it. There's nothing at all whatsoever for the United States to gain in terms of committing ourselves to a ground war or any other kind of military armed conflict between us and on behalf of Ukraine with Russia. And you could say that for a lot of things too. I know people are trying to make the argument about that with Taiwan. But China's more powerful than Taiwan, than Russia. I think China's more powerful than Russia. Although both of their economies are kind of on the edge of a knife, particularly China's. You have to, this has to be weighed out. And other countries need to step up. For all of the complaining that all of these other countries do about the United States and nation building, who is it that is called whenever there's trouble? Who is it that's expected to commit their time and their blood and treasure? It's the United States. The United States is supposed to send their sons and daughters off to a faraway land to fight a conflict that started before they were even born, a conflict between nations to which they have no loyalty, fealty, or citizenship at all whatsoever. For whose interest?